It was a quiet evening in Istanbul. Demet Özdemir had just returned home from a long day on set. Her phone, as usual, had been buzzing non-stop, messages from stylists, brand managers, fans, and her mother checking in to make sure she'd eaten something. But that night, among the flood of notifications, there was one message she wasn't expecting. One name that hadn't appeared on her screen in months. Maybe even a year. Can. Just that name. No surname, no emojis, no preview of the message. Just, Can. She froze. Her fingers hovered over the screen, heart thumping so loudly she thought the neighbors might hear it. She didn't dare open it yet. Not because she was afraid of what it might say, but because she was afraid of what it might undo. For months, she had trained herself to forget. To move on. To smile when his name came up in interviews and say all the right things. "We're friends," she would say. "We had something special, and I'll always respect him." But behind those words was silence. A silence that stretched across cities, countries, oceans. They hadn't spoken since that night in Rome. Her hand trembled as she picked up the phone. She walked slowly to her bedroom, closed the door, sat on the edge of her bed, and took a deep breath. She opened the message. And just like that, everything changed. Demet stared at the screen, her thumb hovering just above the message. The room around her blurred into silence, like the world had paused, waiting for her to decide. It wasn't just any message. It was from him. The one person she had trained her heart to forget, the one soul whose absence still echoed in the corners of her memory every single night. She tapped it. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from right now. But there's something I never got to say. Something I should have said a long time ago." 3 lines. That was all. But each word felt like it was dragging her backwards, pulling her into a past she had spent months burying under rehearsals, red carpets, and forced laughter. For a moment, Demet forgot how to breathe. Can's voice echoed in her mind, not from the message, but from their last night together. That final argument. That final glance as the hotel door closed behind him, leaving silence in its place. She could still see it so clearly, the way he stood in the doorway, his suitcase by his side, not saying a word. The way his jaw clenched like he wanted to scream but knew it would only make things worse. The way she held her own tears until she heard the elevator doors close. And now, this? Why now? Why tonight? Why after all this time? Her hands were trembling again. Not out of fear. Not even anger. But something worse, hope. She stared at the message, rereading the lines as if they might change. Then, before she knew what she was doing, she pressed record. Not to respond. Not yet. Just to hear her own voice, to remind herself she still had one. "Can," she whispered into the microphone. "Why are you doing this now?" She didn't send it. She couldn't. Her heart wasn't ready. But the truth was, neither was she ready for what would come next. Because an hour later, another message arrived. This time, it wasn't a text. It was a voice note. And it would shake the very foundation of everything she thought she knew. Demet hesitated before pressing play. The notification had been sitting on her phone for 26 minutes. 26 long, dragging, aching minutes of staring at the screen, as if the glowing orange play button might somehow fade away if she just waited long enough. But it didn't. It was still there. Still glowing. Still pulsing. She finally pressed it. At first, there was only silence. Then a breath. A deep, shaky inhale. Then his voice. "Demet. I don't even know where to start." Her eyes widened. Her breath caught. She hadn't heard his voice in over a year. Not live. Not like this. She had seen interviews. Clips. Dubbing sessions from afar. But nothing ever prepared her for this. This was him. Raw. Unsure. Maybe even broken. I've rewritten this message 1,000 times. I recorded it, deleted it, tried again. I didn't know if I had the right to send it anymore. She sat back against the wall, clutching the phone like it might slip from her grasp. I saw you the other day. I didn't mean to. It was at the airport. You didn't see me, and maybe it's better you didn't. But you were laughing. With someone. And I should have felt happy for you, but it felt like someone had kicked the air out of my lungs. Demet blinked hard, trying to push back the tears that were beginning to rise. I thought I had moved on. I really did. I told myself what we had, it was beautiful, but temporary. A flame that burned bright but couldn't last. But seeing you again. It made me realize something I never wanted to admit. Pause. I never stopped loving you, Demet. Her hand flew to her mouth, as if trying to hold in the sound she nearly made. It wasn't a sob. Not yet. But it was something between pain and disbelief. I know I messed up. I know we both did. And I know you probably hate me for what happened in Rome. I don't blame you. But you should know, that night, the things I didn't say, the things I should have fought for. Another pause. His breath caught. I regret them every single day. Silence again. Demet didn't realize her hands had been shaking until she heard the soft clatter of her bracelet against the phone case. She replayed the message. Not because she wanted to. But because a part of her didn't believe it the first time. She needed to hear it again, to confirm it was real. And with each replay, a wave of buried memories came flooding back. The night he surprised her with a rooftop dinner after their wrap party. The way he would steal glances at her when he thought she wasn't looking. That morning in Cappadocia, when they watched the sunrise and made promises they both failed to keep. She thought she had buried all of it. But Can's voice, it was like a key turning inside her. Opening doors she had locked, bolted, and sealed shut. She put the phone down, stood up, and walked to the window. Outside, the city lights flickered like distant stars. And all she could think was, why now? Why is he doing this now, when I finally thought I was healing? Her thoughts were spinning. Her chest tight. And just when she thought it couldn't get more complicated. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo. Sent by Can. A photo from that night in Rome. The last night they were truly together. Demet tapped it open, and there it was, a grainy, dimly lit image of the hotel balcony in Rome. Her wearing his black jacket. Him holding her from behind, forehead against her temple, eyes closed like he was breathing her in. She remembered that moment. Not because of the photo, but because it had haunted her every night since. It was taken by a fan from a distant rooftop, clearly without them knowing. Somehow, Can had found it. Or maybe he had kept it all this time. Either way, the image shattered her. It wasn't the kiss. It wasn't the pose. It was what came just minutes after. She remembered how the night started so perfectly. Rome was their escape. No cameras. No press. Just them, raw, real, stripped of schedules and pressure. They drank wine on that balcony, laughed about the time she tripped over a lighting cable on set, and danced to music coming from someone else's apartment window. Then came the conversation. The one that changed everything. I got another offer, he said, voice quiet. It's in Italy. A big one. She had smiled at first. She was happy for him. Proud. But he didn't smile back. I'd have to move. For at least a year. Silence. Her smile faded. I can visit, she offered. It's not that simple, he replied. They want me to focus. Full immersion. No distractions. Distractions. That word stayed with her. That word broke her. I'm a distraction, she asked, stepping back from him. No, Demet, that's not what I meant. But it was too late. The walls were already rising between them. She accused him of choosing career over them. He accused her of not understanding what was at stake. Voices rose. Eyes welled. She told him to leave. He did. And they never saw each other again. Until now. Demet stood in the middle of her living room, phone still in her hand, the photo glowing back at her like a ghost. The voice message still fresh in her memory. Her breath unsteady. And then it hit her, she had spent so long trying to forget what they had, that she had never truly grieved what they lost. It wasn't about the breakup. It was about the silence that followed. She had always believed that if someone wanted to make things right, they would. That if Can really regretted it, he'd say something. And now, he had. But what was she supposed to do with that? She sat down at the kitchen table, the same one where she had cried the morning after Rome, reading articles about his new projects, his rising fame, and pretending she didn't care. This time, she didn't reach for a voice note. She typed. Slowly. Carefully. Every letter carrying weight she had buried for months. I don't know what to say. Part of me wants to scream. Part of me wants to hug you. That night broke me. But not because of your decision. Because you didn't fight for us. You let me think I didn't matter. And I've lived with that silence ever since. She paused. Her fingers hovered over the screen, hesitating. Then she continued. But hearing your voice again, I realized something. I'm still angry. I'm still hurt. But I never stopped caring either. Maybe we're not the same people we were in Rome. But if we both still feel something, maybe we owe it to ourselves to find out what that means. She hit send. No more rehearsals. No more pretending. Just truth. Just them. And for the first time in a very long time, her hand stopped shaking.